It was a what could have been sort of week. 2,234 is solid. We're sitting at 200th overall. Such a good position to be in. But man, it could have been a lot better. Last week I said we were bound to cop some bad luck eventually. Unfortunately, it was this week that we got hit with some bad luck. Thankfully, we weren't too affected by it, still moved up. So it's okay, we move. In defense, Dawson found plenty of it, kicked a goal, but efficiency was down this game. Dacos seagulled all game, 2 clutch goals in the fourth. Absolute cheat code. Stewart very solid, as was Zeeble, even with Hall back. McKenna had some quiet patches again, but made his way up to a serviceable score. His break-even's up to a 62 now though, so that might have been his farewell game. He's in my trade plans at the moment. And I did a stupid here on the bench. Decided to loop Cowan with McVie. I had to make the decision at halftime before Gold Coast would play their game and I wouldn't have a chance to move Constable on field or on the bench. Cowan was on 32 at halftime, so my thought process here was he's on track for a 60. Carlton are playing a close game, so I decided to take it. Of course, Cowan goes on to have a stinker of a second half, and McVie, to no one's surprise, ends up beating the 35. Which was good, but unfortunate to not have the extra 24 points on field. I literally said last week I don't want to field Cowan at all, so I don't know why I did this to myself, but it is what it is. In the midfield, Oliver, not the Anzac Eve game we were expecting. Found plenty of it, but he was a turnover king. Hopefully he goes bang against North, so he doesn't get too cheap for non-owners. Bontempelli plays a full 4-quarter game, and look what happens. Insane player. Rory Laird, really slow start, but got into it. Had a knee concern, I think, towards the end, but came back on and played out the rest of the game, so should be fine, hopefully. Now here's the real heartbreak. Touk Miller. It was always going to be him that I traded in, so I can't say I would have avoided this. He was one of the must-haves that I wanted to cover. A top-scoring mid, great captain option, great fixture. Just can't predict injuries. Real unlucky. Setterfield, it was looking like a big game for him early, but disappeared through the second and third quarters. Then when Laverde got subbed off for Hobbs, he got moved into the back line. So that was interesting. It actually did get him into the game a little bit. He did find the footy in defense, but Collingwood came back, and I feel like Brad Scott took too long to move Setters back into the middle. And by the time he was in another centre bounce, Collingwood just had all the momentum and they finished it off. But we'll take a 76 considering how quiet he was through the middle part of the game. Hopper solid. Ashcroft had a fast start, slowed down, but we'll take a 76 from a rookie. Wilmot, super disappointing to have that on field. And the bench, oh boy, it looks dead. Davey might get dropped, Johnson might get dropped, Roberts injured and out for a few weeks. So it's a massive rip to our cash gen on the midfield bench. In the Rucks, Darcy played a great game against English, and Marshall thought he'd do more against the Carlton Rucks, so that's quite disappointing. And the forward line, Dunkley, tons are nice, but just doesn't look like he'll be that high ceiling player that we thought he'd be. Taranto played an impressive game against Melbourne. Rosie beat up on West Coast. Goulden, he had a night to forget. Sydney had a night to forget, so hopefully this was just a one-off. Sheasel, I didn't watch the game, but obviously he was already going into it, banged up. Hall came back in, saw his role got switched mid-game. So we'll keep an eye on him, not planning to trade, but he's a watch. And Chandler was really concerned with his score early on, but had a huge third quarter. Great to have an 85 on field, and obviously great for the cash gen. And on the bench, Fergus Green, 3 straight 70s now, real good to see. And Samson Ryan had a great game, clunked some good contested marks. Unfortunately, butchered a few shots in front of goal, so could have been closer to a ton, but we definitely take an 82. For trades this week, it is with great sadness that we let go of Touk Miller after 1 week and a 40. The preferred option is Sam Walsh. He'd be a super pod to have, but unfortunately it's not to be. I'm going to be short on cash with the trades I'm planning, so my next option is someone I'm more than happy to bring in, and that will be Zach Merritt. Consistent and durable. Fixture's a little bit tough the next couple of weeks, but like I've said before about fixture, the best players will find a way to get it done. Merritt's most definitely capable of that. So with 29k in the bank, I will use a boost. So that will put me down to 1 after this week. But we're going to go McKenna and Wilmot out at this stage. That's what the plans are. And the 2 players we will bring in as planned from previous weeks. Will Day comes in and 129k in the bank. We'll chuck Gordon into the mids again, and in comes Seamus Mitchell. So Touk to Zach Merritt, McKenna to Will Day, Wilmot to Seamus Mitchell, 5.7k in the bank. Still managed to make an upgrade, which is the most important part. Skipping on Wagner, but I'm okay with that. He's not the best ball user and he has some shaky job security, so I'm cool with these trades. So at this stage, this will be the team heading into round 7. Not sure who to field out of Mitchell or Green. Mitchell probably has the scope to get more touches, but Green is in really good form right now. The Dogs are a pretty tough opponent, so my gut says Mitchell. We'll stick with that for now. Rookies on field, we have McVie, Ashcroft, Chandler, and Mitchell. So just the 4, which is good. Sheasel can count as well if he's not a keeper. But I like the position we're in. And then we have Setterfield and Hopper as well that we'll have to flip at some point. Not even going to mess with a rookie loop in defense this week. Not taking any chances with Cowan, never again. I also want to use Constable as a captain loop with GWS playing early on this week. My only VC options would be Rosie, Dunkley, or Darcy. So don't really want to go there. On that note, for captains, we'll chuck the VC on Oliver against North, and the C will go to Dacos playing against Adelaide in Adelaide Oval, where he dropped 40 touches and 3 goals on them last year. But fingers crossed for no bad luck this week. We're in a really good position. I think around 200 or so points from the top 10, somewhere around that, so not far off. It's definitely a possibility. Just gotta hope all goes well from here. Next week we'll look to downgrade to Chincotta, if I'm pronouncing that right. And I don't know yet who we're going to upgrade to. We'll have to take a look at that. I don't really want to use a boost next week, so it might be something like Cowan down to Chincotta, then Setterfield up to someone I have enough money for, so maybe Cogs. We'll see what we might have enough for there, but just some rough planning at this stage. Anyway, that's going to do it. Hopefully you all had a great round and avoided most of the carnage. Good luck to you all in round 7, and see you in the next one.